Carl is a fashion model who has a little bit of an inferiority complex going on and tries hard to gain control of something he deems imbalanced. He is in a relationship with Yaya, a model and an influencer, who thinks talking about money is unsexy. Whatever they do or go, Carl acts as her photographer, capturing pictures of her in a sexy bikini and eating good food but later pushing it away, claiming that she's gluten intolerant. This odd couple is one of the most realistic ones you can see in the movies. They get jealous of each other and bickers back and forth like husband and wife, then make up after a couple of hours. This makes you raise an eyebrow, especially when they have established that they are only together to grow each other's following. The movie continued with the head of staff Paula demanding her subordinates to always say yes to every guest's demands even if it's absolutely and utterly ridiculous. She motivated them by saying that in return, they would get generous tips, and that made everyone scream excitedly. Like all other social media influencers, Carl and Yaya are invited for free on a luxurious yacht, mainly to promote it, where they meet a bunch of crazy rich people from around the world. Dmitry, a Russian oligarch who sells fertilizers and calls himself the king of shit, is with his wife, Vera, and his sugar baby, Ludmila. There is also Yarmo, who unlike Dmitry, is a lonely millionaire who sells his codes to different tech companies. Theris, who suffered from a stroke and can only speak the same German phrase in Den Woken, which means up in the clouds. Lastly, Clementine and Winston, the English couple who made their fortune by manufacturing weapons such as hand grenades and landmines. While Carl and Yaya are on the rear deck, a crew member smokes casually and takes off his uniform, revealing his upper body filled with a carpet of hairs which Yaya found hot. When she greeted and smiled at the man, Carl gets mad, obviously jealous, but Yaya told him to just let it go. Not having any of it, he reported the man to Paula. Later in the movie, the same crew he complained about is seen leaving the ship. He has been kicked out, which seems to blow Carl off his mind as he looks to have finally possessed some power he did not think he could have. Alicia, a beautiful staff member, is attending to Vera, who is swimming in the jacuzzi, refilling her glass of champagne every now and then. When asked what she wished for if it's her last day on Earth, she was caught off guard and did not know what to say. Then Vera had an idea and told her to swim in her uniform. She explains that they are not allowed to swim during working hours, but Vera, being born on the opposite end of the spectrum, won't take no for an answer. Scared to upset the Russian woman, Alicia surrendered and did as she was told, making Vera shout in glee. Moments later, all the crew members are called to swim, lining up in their swimming trunks to the water slide. Meanwhile, the first officer, named Darhughes, visits the yacht's captain, who seems to like his room and alcohol so much, to get him ready for the captain's dinner, which will be in 4 hours. Despite drinking heavily, Thomas was able to sober up and put on his uniform for the night of fine dining, which he's not a fan of. One by one, the guests arrive in expensive suits, sophisticated gowns and precious jewelry. Thomas welcomes them with a smile, with Darhughes by his side. And when an older woman shakes hands with him, she tells him that when she was at the sundeck yesterday, she noticed the sails were dirt gray and asks if they could wash them. The captain seems taken aback and carefully threads his explanation that it is a motorized vehicle, so there are no sails. However, she still insisted she's correct. With no choice but to go along with the whim of the rich woman, Thomas tells her they will clean it, as if talking to a toddler. As the night progresses, a storm hits the yacht, which makes the ship lurch back and forth. But the guests tried their best to live up to their image as wealthy and unbothered people, slurping oysters, eating foods with names I can't even pronounce, and drinking expensive wine, even at the time of disaster. But their coolness only stretched for so long before they started vomiting all over the place, getting seasick from constant turbulence, and one even had a cardiac arrest. Moments after, the guests started to leave the hall to go to their rooms, where their affliction continued. It appears to be one of the climaxes of the movie as a piece of rock music starts playing in the background. making the scenes more chaotic and gross than it could possibly be. Meanwhile, Thomas sits comfortably on his chair while drinking wine, unperturbed by the present ordeal thanks to his job as a captain, which he doesn't really take seriously. Then the Russian capitalist, Dmitry, accompanied him in drinking, and they talked about their own ideals, and even went too far as speaking to an open mic where everyone could hear them, causing panic and distress. Thomas, who had too much to drink again, expresses his thoughts about how it is unfair for the poor to be drowning in poverty, while the wealthy swims in abundance. How ironic that he hates luxury and the people swimming in it, when he operates a super yacht for the ultra-rich. As the movie continues, a boat is seen approaching the ship, and aboard are pirates who started throwing hand grenades, where one is picked up by the couple who manufacture weapons, and said one of the most iconic lines in the movie.
Winston, look, isn't this one of ours?
Oh no!
When morning comes, a group of survivors gets stranded on a deserted island. They were soon joined by the yacht mechanic, Nelson, carrying along with him the wheelchair-bound Theris. When the night came, they couldn't sleep and were weary of any possible danger lurking in the dark. When they heard an animalistic sound getting closer, they panicked and ran to the shore, with Yarmo suddenly lighting the last flare, losing the only way they could think of getting rescued. In the morning, another survivor, who managed to escape in an emergency lifeboat, joins them. Her name is Abigail, the toilet manager in her 50s. She brought with her some bottles of water and bags of chips, which quickly vanished as it was distributed to the others, but Abigail managed to save some pretzels and put them in her backpack, which will come in handy at the later part of the movie. While they are lounging and munching chips, Abigail successfully catches an octopus, making them shout excitedly because that means they will have food for the night. But as the food is being rationed, Abigail keeps more for herself, which earns her a disapproving look from Paula, who acts as if they are still aboard the yacht. But Abigail did not falter, instead came up with an idea to put everyone in their place. She proclaimed herself the captain, since she's the only one who could catch fish, start a fire and cook, and gave more food to those who acknowledged her role, leaving Paula no choice but to surrender to the matriarchy that Abigail created if she wants to survive. Suddenly possessing the power she didn't have aboard the yacht, Abigail intends to make the most out of it and starts to have a transactional relationship with Carl in exchange for shelter and food, which he shares with Yaya. When the night comes, he sleeps with Abigail in the lifeboat, and once it's morning, he leaves with a bag of pretzels in his hand. With nothing to do, the rest of the men entertain themselves by waiting outside the lifeboat before Carl even comes out, and blows the whistle every time he passes by. However, this setup makes Yaya jealous, so to get revenge, she kisses Yarmo, who recently killed a deer. But unlike before, Carl was not even bothered in the slightest and even considered leaving her for Abigail. When Yaya decided to hike over the mountain to see if she could find something, Abigail insisted on coming along. As they reached the other side of the island, Yaya was exhilarated to find an elevator, which meant there was a resort there all along. When she told Abigail to come with her to check it out, she excused herself, saying she needed to pee. Moments later, Abigail is seen holding a rock over Yaya's head, then Carl, who is hastily running through the woods. And that concludes the movie entitled Triangle of Sadness, a satirical black comedy film. But before I end this video, I want to know your thoughts about the movie, so leave your comments below and I'll be more than happy to read them. Thank you for watching, don't forget to subscribe and we'll see you next time, bye.